Hey everyone, it's Logan here with EDH Beats, and today I have some cards for you that are underplayed. Now I'm not gonna say they're gonna blow your mind, but I think, especially considering budget, I think they should see more play. And even not considering budget, some of these cases are actually pretty good. So I'm gonna get started right away, so I don't ramble forever. So the first one is Bond of Discipline. It's a 5 mana, or it's 4 and 1 white. Tap all creatures your opponents control. Creatures you control gain lifelink until the end of the turn. Now, so when you think of overrun effects, the +3/+3 trample or +X/+X and trample, those are really good. And I don't think this quite competes on this level. But if you're not playing green, and maybe even if you are playing green, a lot of spells, usually when they tap opponent's creatures, it's usually one player, or if it's everyone, it's they choose one creature and then tap the rest. This literally just says tap everything. I'm going to give my creatures lifelink and swing everything in. That's going to help you turn the game back in your favor by getting a bunch of life, and then just leaves everyone open. Now, you got to worry about the crackbacks. You got to take out some people or set up some contingencies. But I think, especially it being an uncommon and it sees no play and it's super cheap, I think just slotting this in, even because of budget, or if you're not playing, especially if you don't have green as your primary color and you're playing a creature deck, and depending on what kind of green deck you're playing, I think this could slot in a bunch of different creature decks, and definitely worth a checkout. Now the next card is Dark Prophecy. Now this is a little hard to pay. It's 3 black mana, and it's an enchantment, so a little hard to play if you're not playing mono black. But what it does is whenever a creature you control dies, you draw a card, lose a life. Now, this is any creature you control, including non-tokens. A lot of the other cards that are 3 mana and do this effect usually say non-token in black. I'm thinking Midnight Reaper, Grim Horror Specs, and I feel like I'm missing another one. But usually when it comes to creatures that any creature can die, you could draw a card. You're usually looking at like Harvester of Souls. Now I think that counts any creature on the battlefield, so not really a good one-for-one comparison. But it is 6 mana, and I can't think of anything specifically this cheap that says any creature, including tokens that you control, die, you draw a card, lose a life. Now, it does have a hard to cast mana cost if you're not playing mono black, and it's an enchantment that you want to play in your creature deck. But I think the pros kind of outweigh the cons. Because with Midnight Reaper, worst case, you could sack it, draw a card, lose a life, or you could use it to fuel aristocrat strategies. You can reanimate it. So there's a lot you can do with a card like that because it is creature. But with this, if you're playing a lot of tokens, or even just like you're able to swarm the board a lot with creatures, and you're not playing a lot of just big creatures, I feel like almost this could be better than Midnight Reaper because if you're playing a bunch of tokens, you're going to get the draws off of it where you would not with Midnight Reaper. It's harder to removal. It's harder to remove, sorry, because it is an enchantment. It just doesn't die to just normal board wipes. So I think this should, and especially it's super cheap. I mean, I don't know the price, but I'm gonna say it's under $2. So I think it's definitely worth it, at least a consideration into sacrifice decks and stuff like that, or even decks that just play a lot of tokens and creatures that you know are gonna die. I would definitely slot it in there. Keep in mind, might be a little hard to cast, but if you can fit Necropotence in a deck and you think it's worth it, I think you could put this in there. The next one, now this is almost exclusively for mono black. Maybe Golgari because you can ramp and choose the lands, but Dread Presence. It's 3 and a black, and whenever a swamp enters the battlefield, you can either draw a card and lose life, or drain someone for 2 and you gain 2. This card, especially in mono black, is just going to sit there, and like every turn you play a land drop, you're going to be drawing a card and gaining a life. And at the bare minimal, like say you could miss land drops, so you might not draw a turn, but it's also a creature. So you can use that to sacrifice, aristocrat effects, and all that. And when you think of Phyrexian Arena, it's cheaper than Dread Presence, and you consistently draw every turn. Whereas Dread Presence, you might miss a thing, and it is 1 more mana, but you can, like I said, use it for other things. And if you're playing like Golgari, you can hit multiple land drops a turn. You can reanimate lands and fetch lands, and even in black, if you want to throw fetch lands in there, you could draw more consistently. But I think it's a good card just for that extra card draw. Like I said, it's way cheaper than Phyrexian Arena. So I think the one more mana definitely makes it worth it. And it's a creature to feel those effects. And you can also hit additional land drops a turn, depending on what you're doing, to draw more cards. I think it's a good card just to sit there, passive card draw, and in a pinch, you can sack it and do other things. Okay, so this one, I don't understand how it's so cheap and doesn't really see any play. 'Cause I looked up the percentages. I don't want to say it's in like 1 to 2% of decks on EDH Rec, and I think I've seen one person play this card personally. That's Erebos Bleak-Hearted. 3 and a black, indestructible. It's a god, has the devotion clause. But whenever another creature you control dies, you can pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. And you can pay 2, 1 and a black, to sacrifice another creature. Target creature is -2, -1. So like with Dark Prophecy, this counts any creature. This itself is a creature, and when it's not a creature, it's an enchantment, which is hard to remove, and it's indestructible. So it's almost always going to stay there. So you can draw cards off of it when any creature dies that you control, and you can pay 2 to sack a creature and either weaken something so you can take it out, or kill it outright if it's, a mana dork. I think this card is really solid, and I have not seen it, like I said, other than one time personally, and I've never really seen it anywhere else. I don't think I've seen it in online games really played that I've watched. I mean, I'm sure it's there, I can find it. I just have not seen much play, and I feel it's $2. It's a $2 mythic from the last Thorough set, and it's pretty solid. 2 life could be a little steep, I guess. It only counts your creature, so I guess I could see where the limitations are, but if you're a self-sacrifice deck, or you're token swarming, or you just play a lot of creatures, this gives you the sack outlet on there, and it's indestructible, and I don't know, it's just going to be hard to remove, so I'm putting this in most of my black decks if I can. I'm going to buy a couple of copies and put them where I can, because I think it's really solid, and just really good. That's the one on this list that's most shocking to me, because I would think this would be more expensive and see more play, and then when I looked at it, I'm like, oh, wow, that's right. When I think about it, I've never seen anyone really play it, but it's good. So the last one we talk about today is a card that used to see a lot of play. I know I used to play it a lot, and then I forgot about it, and I used to see it a lot played against me. It's Hull Breach. It's a red and a green sorcery, so I can see why that hurts it a little bit. Choose one. Destroy target artifact, or destroy target enchantment, or destroy target artifact and target enchantment. So it's 2 mana in Gruul. You can either destroy 1 artifact or 1 enchantment, or you can choose to destroy 1 and 1. So for 2 mana, you can destroy 2 things at sorcery speed. And I feel like the sorcery, I get there's other instant effects, but usually they only let you hit 1 unless you're paying like 4 or something, and they might let you hit more. Or in my case, what I'm thinking about is if you cast it on your turn for 4 mana, you can destroy 2 things. You can literally just pay 2 and hit 2 things at sorcery speed, which, like I said, hurts it a little bit, but I think the 2 mana is well worth it, especially in Gruul. Because, like I said, most things I could think of, like there's a 3 mana one that lets you destroy 3 artifacts. I think that was from the one with all the big creatures with mutate and stuff. I can't remember the set name. Ikoria. 3 mana. I can't remember if it was instant speed, but you can destroy 3 enchantments. This lets you hit an enchantment and an artifact. So less, but it does let you hit more types of stuff. And especially, I put this in my Quark deck because if I copy it for, it's 2 mana. If I copy it, I destroy 2 enchantments and 2 artifacts. That's just really solid. Especially if you're considering budget, this thing is like dirt cheap. So, and even at not budget, I think this is worth it. Like, there's always things to consider, like, Reclamation Sage. It's a creature. You can bounce it. You can reanimate it. So there's certain things you might have to consider, but if you have an open slot for something that does, like, a spell that does destroy an artifact enchantment, I would definitely consider this if you're a Gruul, because it's just a solid card, and I don't think you're ever going to be disappointed. Like I said, 2 mana. I'm going to destroy 2 things. Good to go. And even if you need to, and there's only one thing you can destroy, you can do that too. So I think overall, just a super solid card that more people should play, especially it's dirt cheap. So that's the end of my list. I do have another video that I want to make because I asked on Twitter if anyone had any cool unknown cards that they played. I got a lot more responses than I thought it would, and there's a lot of good cards in there. So that's going to be a separate video because this video is already going on for too long. I only talked about 5 cards, and there's like 10 plus cards in that Twitter thread. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you thought the cards were cool, let me know. And if you have more unknown cards, type them out in the comments because I definitely want to see them and make a video to share it with everyone else so they can see. And I appreciate you for watching. Have a good day.